Yeah, July 21st, 2024, a day they're going to talk about.
Is there anything to talk about?
Good to see y'all if you're with us here tonight. A couple of weeks ago, we tried an evening podcast reflecting on a presidential debate between a convict and the current president of the United States. The convict won. It was bad, and we came on gloom in our hearts, gloom in our voices, the three of us just looking sorry, sad. I mean, Dan wrote half an album that night of just sad songs. Not tonight, boys, not tonight.
That's right. And I don't know if it's, I mean, in some ways we're celebrating, but in other ways, this is a dire situation for America that we're swapping out candidates just a few months before.
Do you think that?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely a move in the right direction. It would have been good to do this a year ago.
Yeah, right.
But we'll take what we can get, you know?
It's like emergency heart surgery instead of scheduling something. Yeah.
I
need to rush the country to the hospital.
I mean, European countries all the time dissolve parliament and call for elections that happen 6 weeks later. And, you know?
We're special, Rob. This is the United States of America, like the Ohio State University.
Yeah.
Home Depot. We are special. We don't roll like that.
Did you guys hear that Donald Trump got shot?
Hey,
we haven't talked about that. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's not even clear who he was shooting at. We don't know. How could you know? This is for all the people that tell me that you don't know what happened on January 6th. You don't know why those people were attacking the Capitol. You couldn't know. I mean, how do we know what the guy was doing? Right. What do we know?
Yeah. And
I mean, who would have thought that in July we'd have a July jumble and not an October surprise?
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
out Kamala Harris becoming the next president of the United States.
Yeah.
What a July.
Yeah. So we need to talk about conspiracy theories related to the shooting of Donald Trump. Was it planned ahead of time by the Trump campaign? It's so funny. No. I am of the opinion that he wasn't actually shot in the ear. I think the bullet hit the teleprompter and he had glass hit his ear.
That's something I heard early on and haven't been able to figure out one way or another why that started and then why it switched to no, it was the bullet that pierced his ear.
Yeah. And Carol is already with me on this.
And there was no glass on anywhere. This is not even a thing anybody talks about. But anyway, yeah. So shots were fired. Things were said. Trump was shaken, scared, tried to pull off a conciliatory attitude at his convention. None of that matters, though, because they fired up all the engines and pointed them all at Joe Biden. And Joe Biden said today, on behalf of the country, I'm going to do what I think is best, and that's not to receive the nomination. And to you, Joe, I'm going to crack open a cold one. I got a Biden-Harris 2020 shirt on. This is now classic. This is old-timey. I get to wear this around like people wear those Bush Reagan shirts.
Bush.
Yeah, Reagan Bush shirts. So here's to you, Joe. Thanks for doing the right thing. Now, if we could talk about your timing, I'm sure Jill's had this conversation with you, but seriously, we could have done with this a while back. Mm-hmm. Rob, I think if there's a conspiracy at hand, the campaign wanted to get him out early in that debate to see what happened.
Yeah.
Or because they knew he wasn't going to make it and they needed to get him, they needed to have something. None of that makes any sense to me because there could have been so many other ways to do this. But whatever it is, we don't have to talk about if Joe Biden is old enough, if Joe Biden is too old, if Joe Biden's mind is sharp enough, or if Joe Biden has lost it a little bit. Don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to worry about it if you're thinking about, is the presidency safe? But after 4 years of having someone like Donald Trump have the power of the power of the presidency at his hand, I don't think we have to be concerned about Joe Biden pulling off the job for the next 5 months. I think he's going to do just fine, especially if he only has to worry about that. I think he's going to do just fine.
It's about time he finishes the job on student loan debt and just cancel it all.
Having a little trouble with the courts finishing that. They keep messing things up, but yeah.
All right. Do you guys think Kamala Harris is the hands down one that's going to be the nominee? You think this is it? Is this the Kamala Harris? Because I've been walking around since, I don't know, whenever it was, 1:30 this afternoon, just with a pep in my step, just feeling great about Kamala Harris being the nominee for the Democratic Party on the 2024 ticket.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of reasons to think that Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. One is she's the sitting vice president,
mm-hmm.
and with that has a lot of clout, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Two, she has the endorsement of Joe Biden, who has especially now has I think is going to have pretty universal goodwill from all Democrats, those calling for him to resign, as well as those who are still supporting his campaign. And then three, there is the matter of campaign finance. And so in their last FEC report, the Biden-Harris campaign reported $92 million cash on hand.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some reports today that I sent fundraisers since then. They actually have $240 million cash on hand now for the campaign. If she's not the nominee, the way campaign finance rules work is that money, it's very limited what can be done with it. Essentially, it would be donated to the Democratic National Committee. And the Democratic National Committee could could then give money to a PAC to coordinate with the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But the way there's limitations, only $34 million of that $240 million would be able to be used by a PAC coordinating with the campaign. So essentially, it's giving up nearly $200 million of campaign money. If Kamala Harris is the nominee, that money was given to her and Joe Biden. She has access to that money. The only way for essentially $200 million to be utilized for the campaign is if she's the nominee. So, money. And I know there's people that say, "Oh, they'll raise more money." Yeah, but $200 million, like $200 million is a lot of money.
But it doesn't go away. But $200 million doesn't go away. Most of the money spent in this campaign will be spent by PACs. So it's not as if all I'm saying. I think Kamala Harris should be the endorsed candidate. I think she will be. I think the least good reason is, well, they've got all this money and only she could use it. They can spread this money to all kinds of PACs. They can spend it before another candidate is. There's a lot of things they could do. So I don't think I know there's a lot of people in the dark government accusation world. I'm not saying you're saying this, Rob. I know a lot of people in that
deep
world.
State.
Yeah, in the deep state world and all the shadowy hands behind that are all saying this stuff like, oh, here's what this is about. Look, these campaigns can spend money. They can find ways to move money. They can coordinate with PACs. They can give it to different PACs. They can do all kinds of things. And frankly, they're going to raise between now and the election something that if there's 90 or 100 or $200 million, that's going to have to be spent in a different bucket. They will figure that all out. If there's a better candidate, if they decide that Daniel Deitrich should be our nominee, then by golly, they will figure out how to spend that money and bring in new money. I just think, and I'm one of these people that doesn't believe that money is the only thing that lets people win campaigns, or Hillary Clinton would be the president right now. So or would have been, well, probably would have won re-election. So I don't know. I just think the reason is because Kamala Harris, of all the other people, truthfully, she's the only one that has run for federal office and been voted for by the American people. And a lot of people don't think they've ever voted for Kamala Harris. I was walking with somebody I'm married to today who was saying, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I voted for Joe Biden, and then he picked her. Like, nope, you voted for her.
It was the other way around.
I guess it doesn't count. Yeah. Well, what's the other way around?
But he picked her, and then you voted.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yes, it's not like a cabinet position or something else, like where he's just like, well, this is who I will pick, put in that seat. Yeah. It's no, these two people are on the ballot. And this is the other thing. When all the people went and voted in the primary in January, and they could have voted for my congressman, Dean Phillips, they could have voted for Marianne Williamson, they could have voted for, I don't know, probably a half a dozen other people in some primary somewhere around the country. They didn't. They picked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So the voters have already said on the ticket, we want Kamala Harris. Now, I'm not sure in people's minds and hearts and all if that feels like that's what that means, but there is an actual process. And the way a candidate is picked, by the way, is the same way that the Electoral College functions. People vote, and then representatives go to a meeting and represent those votes. But the people representing the votes have the determination of who they're going to vote for.
Yeah, and I think that's really critical to talk about. Like, this is not subverting democracy in any way. Every election, at some point before the conventions happen, we'll get all of these stories about quote unquote faithless electors. Those people who were elected. So in primaries, when you went to vote for Joe Biden for president, you didn't vote for Joe Biden for president. You voted for a slate of electors who would cast their votes for Joe Biden for president. The idea of faithless electors are people who might switch their vote.
Yeah.
They come from a state that, chose that their electors would choose Joe Biden, and, or maybe in the past their electors would, choose Barack Obama, but the electors would decide to vote for Hillary Clinton instead. And so the electors are the ones who choose who the nominee is going to be. When someone drops out, and this happens in multiple ballots at time. This has happened in the past. Multiple ballots have taken place in conventions, and someone drops out, and they free their electors up to vote for someone else. And that's essentially what Joe Biden's done. This is how the democratic process works.
And so he's freed those electors. It'll go to the convention. He's endorsed Vice President Harris, but they could decide, no, we're going to mix it up. We're going to.
Yeah. And they could have done that with Joe Biden. They could have said, we've decided together we're not going to nominate Joe Biden. We were sent here with that as the will of the people, but they're called delegates in this case, not to confuse with the Electoral College. The delegates are the ones, there's like 3,000 of them, and then another batch if they have to get to a super delegate thing. There's kind of these rules about if someone doesn't get 50%, then the super delegates kick in. But they're going to use the very same process that, look, most of us don't know what the process is. Most of us think somehow someone got picked to be the nominee, and then you have a TV event. Fair enough. That's kind of all we need to know. But actually at that event, people are a delegate or a non-delegate, and they are going to actually cast votes in a setting that then puts the party behind that person, and then the person is put on the ballot with the Democratic endorsement. Right now, Joe Biden is not the nominee.
He's the presumptive nominee. There's
a lot of presuming going on. There's a lot of presuming. You know what happens when you presume? Sometimes you get it right. But he's not the nominee. He will become the nominee if the delegates vote for him. And when he says, I'm not up for being the nominee, they're going to pick someone else. So so if you're talking to family and friends, or your home pets, because people won't listen to you anymore. Because if you're watching this, you're probably talking about politics too much with your friends, and we appreciate you. You can just explain to them. Nothing funny is going on here. Barack Obama in 2008 secured the adequate number of committed delegates June 3rd. And it wasn't until like June 18th or 19th when a whole superdelegate battle thing was going on. So we're only like 1 month later than we were in 2008. There's plenty of time. And if you think, well, people knew who Barack Obama was, barely anyone knew who Barack Obama was in January of that year. More people know who Kamala Harris is because 84 million people voted for her. So she's in a better position to take over this party without losing any footing. Like, she is really in good shape. I think this is almost an ideal situation. She's taken no incoming critique. She's got 107 days. Less than 100 of that is the official nominee. And she's going to bring the party together. And all the people that don't want Donald Trump and are saying, because I have a lot of friends that say this, well, my problem is it's the same two guys. I get it. I say the same thing. Now they don't get to say that. So if you're still doing the problem is it's the same, then you just don't want to vote for a Democrat. So just admit it. Now, once you admit it, let's start working on that. Let's just consider just one time, vote for a Democrat for no other purpose than to keep the criminal from being the head of the Justice Department. If you want another reason.
Yeah. And, part of what the discussion will be, and I think why the president came out so strongly for Kamala Harris as he did today, and why others have done the same, from James Clyburn to Katie Porter to, Gretchen Whitmer to a whole bunch of folks. A big part of this is about keeping anybody else from running against her. Anybody could throw their hat. I mean, Marianne Williamson still has her hat in the ring again. And people can throw their hat in the ring and say, hey, I want to be the nominee. Doug, are you throwing your hat in the big announcement tonight? Yeah. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Delegates that pick Doug. Doug says, I'd like to give those delegates to Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And so, there's this fear about like, oh, well, we don't want a coronation, which, come on. I'm not, that argument from Democrats, they're doing the hand wringing doesn't really resonate with me. But what Kamala is trying to do right now is to consolidate her support and keep anybody out of the race from challenging her, like unifying the party. And you do that by making sure there's nobody else. Now, CNN had a poll earlier today from New Hampshire of registered Democrats, and if Joe Biden, is not the nominee, who do you want? Kamala Harris had 50% of the vote, and second place was Pete Buttigieg with 14%. Then Gretchen Whitmer was 7%, and Gavin Newsom was 6%. I'm sorry, that's a landslide victory in a primary.
Yeah,
Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee, for regardless of what, so is it going, I have said all along that I thought Gavin Newsom was going to be the nominee.
Me too.
Now I, don't believe that. Got part of my prediction correct. Gretchen Whitmer's already endorsed Kamala Harris. What's that?
Which by definition means the prediction wasn't correct. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. It was half right. 50%. It's a landslide. It's a landslide in electoral politics. And Gretchen Whitmer has already endorsed Kamala Harris. Who else is it going to be?
Nobody.
Joe Manchin?
Yeah, sure. He's going to throw his hat in because he has to re-register as a Democrat. You know who else could throw their hat in who's not a Democrat? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, he's not a Democrat either. He could throw his hat in the ring.
Can we talk about this Joe Manchin thing for a minute? Okay. I mean, is there anybody who is worse at reading the room than Joe Manchin? Dude, this is like Joe Manchin and Tulsi Gabbard should run together. How many votes do you think they would get at the Democratic convention to be the nominee? for president, vice president, because I'm thinking 0 is the number.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy opposed the president's agenda over and over, has made things so difficult over the last 4 years, almost 4 years for Joe Biden, consistently sided with Republicans time and time again. And now he's thinking, you know what Democrats want? They want me. They want me.
Yeah.
No,
that's what they want.
He just wants the good people of the Democratic Party to have a choice. And he thought, well, maybe I should be one of the choices. Yep, you can gaggle together with your other.
So it's not going to be Joe Manchin. Doug, Aaron Sorkin, and don't put this up yet, Dan. Okay. Aaron Sorkin, who wrote The West Wing and several other really amazing shows, had an editorial that came out today before Joe Biden dropped out, giving some advice that if he were writing the script, who he thinks the Democrats should choose to be their nominee instead, should Joe Biden drop out. Would you like to take a guess at who Aaron Sorkin, the writer of West Wing and other shows, suggested to the Democrats they should choose as their nominee?
Can I ask for a hint? Is it someone in politics or not someone in politics?
It is someone in politics.
Okay. Michelle Obama.
Hit it, Dan.
Mitt Romney. Maybe vice president. Isn't there a storyline in there in the West Wing where a candidate picks a Republican vice president or something? That seems like a Sorkin thing to do.
Justice nominees, I think, is what it is. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, look, Mitt Romney. All right.
Listen, if the choice was Mitt Romney or Joe Manchin, I would choose Mitt Romney.
It's pretty
all
cute.
Day. Yeah,
it's a pretty cute play.
And if the choice is Mitt Romney or Donald Trump, it's obvious. But we don't have to choose that.
It's going to be Kamala Harris. Is there any chance it's not Kamala Harris?
No. But they're going to have.
I'll say there is a chance because up to this point, Democrats have shown that they're not very good at any of this. So they're great at we've got a clear path to victory. Let's not do that. So
a lot of the talk today has been about how Barack Obama has not endorsed Kamala Harris, and his statement of support for Joe Biden really kind of it was conspicuous that she was left out of that. Do you think that Barack Obama is pulling strings behind the scenes and he is not endorsing Vice President Harris because he knows something we don't?
No, I think he's playing the game of he knows the weight of his endorsement, and what he wants to say is let's let the process work for a bit and then I'll put my word in. He doesn't need to be someone who's in early. It would be.
That's my take too. Yeah,
it would just seem too heavy of a push. I think they've all decided that. Look, there's not even a decision to be made here. I mean, some people haven't been thinking about this the way we have, but over the last week we've been driving around the country from Minnesota to North Carolina to Wisconsin, and then for me back here and Dan back to Michigan. So we've had a lot of time to talk about this, and we were scenario planning. And I converted during that ride to believing why Kamala Harris is not only the inevitable, but by far the best candidate. I think there's just no question that she is the right one. She keeps continuity. She gets to say about the administration anything she thinks is positive. I had my hand in it. Anything she would have wanted to be different, she can say, this is why there's a difference between a president and vice president. And I've served as vice president and I'm capable of serving as president. And when I'm president, I would handle Gaza like this, or I would treat the border like this. She just gets a win across the board. She's a vetted candidate. She's already there. Mm-hmm. People don't know no matter who it is, people don't know who they are. Her name recognition is the highest of all the possible people. I mean, short of Oprah, who could be running for this office, or maybe Michelle Obama. There's just not a lot of people that have the kind of name recognition as the sitting vice president of the United States. And she's gotten pretty good at this in the last year. She has sharpened her capacity. And I think the Biden administration has not used her well. I wish she was out a lot more. I wish that we all saw a whole lot more of Kamala Harris, but we will now. Now, all that's predicated on, can they do a rollout of Kamala Harris that introduces her to the American people, where people fall in love with her and are just like, oh my gosh, yes, say good things and have people do. You know how many people in 2019 were sending me random messages? I mean, in 2020, it was random messages about a guy who wrote a song called The Hymn for the 81%. But in 2019, it was like, have you seen this guy, Pete Butta something? It's crazy. I love what he's saying and the way he's saying it. Like, people are convincible that a candidate can capture their heart. If they can roll Kamala Harris out and make an enormous push that people, when you get to know her, you're going to love her. Yeah. Instead of this, no one likes her and people don't like her voice. And look, I've been saying that stuff too. I've been very bothered by the way they've rolled her out. I haven't liked her. To be truthful, with the stuff I've seen, I've been like, oh, that just feels off tone and it doesn't feel right. But now she's going to not be the backup. She's not going to be the support. She's going to be the front. I think she'll do great. I think she's going to figure out her voice, and not just her actual tenor of her voice, but what she has to say. And I hope she grabs it. And if they manage her, if they Hillary Clinton her the way the Hillary Clinton campaign did, if they do or Al Gore or John Kerry, if the Democrats Democrat her in this process,
that's what I'm worried
about. If they do their thing, if they dip her in that, the strawberry dipped in that chocolate, and they try to serve that to the American people, people aren't going to like it. But if she just unleashes and is who she is, and if every day we're saying, do you want to vote for the sex crime prosecutor or for the sex crime, perpetrator? Thank you.
Yeah.
Prosecutor or perpetrator. Do you vote for the prosecutor or the perpetrator? That's pretty good, Rob. That's potential.
Act Blue tweeted a minute ago that grassroots supporters have raised $46.7 million through Act Blue following Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign launch. This has been the biggest fundraising day of the 2024 cycle.
Is that going to a separate campaign, do you know, than the
she's probably She has an existing Harris for President campaign committee from when she ran previously. So it's probably going into that. But anyway, so it is, and Act Blue is typically like this. These aren't people maxing out. This is like, it's typically small dollar donors.
Yeah, I think people are excited in a way they haven't been with Joe Biden. I saw this this tweet. Yeah. This is Kamala Harris. She says, I prosecuted sex predators. Trump is one. I shut down for-profit scam colleges. He ran one. I held big banks accountable. He's owned by them. I'm not just prepared to take on Trump. I'm prepared to beat him.
When was that?
Let's go. Today.
Yeah, and that's basically word for word. That's basically word for word a campaign commercial that she had produced in 2020 when she was in the Democratic primary, and it's a fantastic commercial that is aged really well, and it's really good. But it's a great messaging for her, and it's great.
That may have actually been a retweet from 2020.
That really might have been, yeah.
because you
evergreen.
That
it's evergreen. Yeah.
I was the duly elected candidate. He ran an insurrection against me. Like you just keep the hits coming with this guy. Mm-hmm. Look, I think the Trump campaign is freaked out They were already afraid of women and abortion. This was a problem for them.
Yes.
Now they have a woman candidate again. And I think they are really nervous that the American people are going to go from, oh, it's the same two guys again, to, oh, it's not the same two guys again. That picks you up some number. She may lose others because of other gender and racial biases in our country. But I think she's going to pick up a bunch of people that are like, hey, look, things are, I mean, my 401k is doing great. I have no other concerns. I have felt like, and I tried to say this in a way to Shelley today, and she just said, I have no idea what you're saying. So I thought I'd try it on you too. And the good people willing to listen to this. I have felt for a long time like the Democrats just need to run a generic candidate and get all obstacles out of the way, like pulling up the door on a dam, and the flood of people are going to want to not vote for Trump and are going to want to keep things where they are. And I think Joe Biden's behavior and age is something that people are having a problem with. I think Kamala Harris gets all the benefit of nearly a generic candidate who's a competent, experienced federal executive branch woman. This is great. Who else has this pedigree? I mean, true. The only person prepared to be a president is a former president, right? That's just a true adage.
Yes.
So short of that, and Donald Trump was one, so he's more qualified on history, on previous work experience. Donald Trump has a leg up. But on can you do the job? She has totally proven that she understands what the job is, and I think could complete it. So when people are like, she's a lightweight, she doesn't know, it's like, okay, all that stuff, man, is it, no offense here, Rob, to your current place of residency, but isn't being the vice president closer to understanding what the job is like than being the governor of Arkansas in the 80s?
Yes.
I mean, come on. Yeah. So, well, honestly, being a press secretary probably gives you more advantage to the White House. So I think Kamala Harris is just going to be great, and I'm with her. I already ordered my shirt today. I don't know if you guys went online and found somewhere where they're selling just a Kamala 2024 shirt, but I've got one on the way and a sticker. You know, I'm probably paying somebody that's selling shirts on both sides, but I didn't care. It was just the easiest one to get. It was only $16.
Did you get it from Sticker Mule or somewhere else?
I'm not ordering anything more from Sticker Mule, man.
All right, so let's
order from Sticker Mule.
Yeah, seriously.
In fact, I'm going to write them an email and tell me to take them off their database.
Yeah, there you go. So we've been talking for over 45 minutes, and haven't gotten to what is really the juicy question at this point, and that is who is going to be Kamala Harris's running mate.
Yeah.
Oh, it was going to be, is she going to wear all white when she comes out at the Democratic National Convention as an homage to Hillary? Is she gonna do that? Hey,
yeah, so what's everyone? Okay. Oh, you got one more before we take guesses?
Because I'll forget. Did Trump indeed walk out for his nomination speech to the song "It's a Man's World"?
I don't think that's what he walked out. He walked out in the convention at one point to that song, but I don't think it was for his speech.
It's a Man's World they played at the Republican National Convention. Okay, that's it. Just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I think he definitely did.
Okay,
at some point during.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all,
I heard it. I heard a news person talking about it. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
First of all, we need to eliminate Gavin Newsom as Kamala Harris's running mate. The president and the vice president cannot be from the same state. So it's not going to be Gavin Newsom. It's not going to be Katie Porter.
From a political standpoint, or is that a rule?
It's a rule. It's in the Constitution. They cannot be from the same state.
Is that still a law?
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Quote Marco Rubio.
This is why Marco Rubio is never going to be Trump's vice presidential pick. So, it's not going to be anybody from California. So just cross Gavin Newsom off the list. Now, what other, the conventional wisdom is, it's going to be, a white guy, a straight white guy. Is kind of the conventional wisdom.
Like, since when do white guys get a real walking path to the presidency and vice presidency? Crazy.
Yeah. And so the question becomes, so the choices are people like, first of all, you think about
swing states.
And so you think Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. He's only been governor of Pennsylvania for 2 years. Might be a little too soon.
Little green.
Also Jewish. Don't know how that might play in. Kamala Harris's husband is Jewish. Another choice would be Roy Cooper, the term limited governor of North Carolina, another Democratic governor of a swing state. And he's term limited. He's a little bit older, not interested in running for president himself. Not that that's stopped anybody. Well, I guess it did stop somebody this time. So maybe Roy Cooper. Could be Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, another swing state.
And
Mark
astronaut.
Kelly, astronaut. And cool. Husband of
action figure guy.
Yeah.
And so that's and another name that's been thrown around is Andy Beshear, who is governor of Kentucky. Doesn't bring a swing state. Kamala Harris is not going to win Kentucky, but Andy Beshear is well liked and is an up and comer in the Democratic Party. A southern, I guess, kind of southern rim, I guess, Kentucky, governor of a red state. Now, a couple other names that have been thrown around are Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation,
and my former mayor. So I've got a
transportation, but that's not all he's done. He was also a mayor.
Yeah, and then the other choice, which would be a little bit unconventional, and that would be Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan.
Yep,
very popular governor of a swing state, but it basically would be daring America not to be sexist.
Yeah, and I'm afraid I would be very afraid to call their bluff on that.
Yeah, I will tell you first of all what I think is going to happen, and then I'll tell you what I want to happen.
Hey, let's give your pedigrees first. You were right on a couple of things.
Terrible at this. I'm horrible at this.
You were a surrogate. You got a surrogate right on J.D. Vance. You thought I was going to pick him. So I think that gets you some credit. I think you get half a point for that.
Okay.
So that's the credit you get.
I'm horrible at this game. So I think it's
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as you suggested Trump was going to, would have been way better. Oh, they could have blunted the Kamala Harris is the candidate thing by saying, well, we've got one that'll make us some sandwiches. They could have done that. Didn't.
Yeah.
Pick J.D. Vance. Just utter morons. I mean, like, they didn't think Biden was going to possibly drop out and they should have a woman. But anyway, you should have been right on her, and you kind of were half right on J.D. Vance. So your guess gets a lot of extra weight in my book.
Okay. So I think it's going to be either Roy Cooper or Mark Kelly, either because I think the swing state thing is important. And I think, from her time in the Senate, she's friends with Mark Kelly. So I could see it being either Mark Kelly or Roy Cooper. I want it to be Gretchen Whitmer. I want in I don't know, when was it? 1992, Bill Clinton defied all political conventional wisdom by choosing Al Gore as his running mate. Young Southerner, basically doubled down on the brand of saying, and instead of saying, so often people choose vice presidents to shore up some weakness that they have. And what Bill Clinton did in 1992 by choosing Al Gore is he solidified what the brand was. And it was a brand that excited the nation and led to his victory. I think Kamala Harris has a chance to do that here by choosing Gretchen Whitmer as her running mate. It does the same thing that Roy Cooper or Josh Shapiro or Mark Kelly does by getting an established leader from a swing state. Because Michigan's a swing state, obviously. She's a popular governor of a swing state. But it also solidifies the brand of like, you know what? It's time for us to let women lead. It's been entirely too long. The Roe v. Wade thing, it's all, so many people are already calling November Roevember. Double down on the brand, choose Gretchen Whitmer,
No
and
shade,
let's
Roe.
go.
Legs or faces.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's that. So my pick is Shapiro first, Whitmer second. I think she's going to pick one of those two because North Carolina and Arizona, Nevada don't matter unless the Democrat wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The math doesn't work. You lose Pennsylvania, you can win North Carolina, and you don't become president.
Yep.
So they have to build that blue wall.
Yeah.
Against the democracy downgrading.
Siri was just telling us.
What was Siri telling you? Something important?
Yeah, she was just saying it was 8:52 p.m. I don't know why. I don't know. Just randomly telling me.
Somehow voice said, "What time is it? Hey Siri, what time is it?"
Rob needs louder.
Hey
Siri.
This.
Yeah.
It's 8:53. She said it to me too. But they're not really listening. It's just
Siri's like, it is past your bedtime. What are you doing? I'm like, Siri, I'm on the internet drinking alcohol.
Yeah, people are talking about J.B. Pritzker. I don't think it's going to be J.B. Pritzker. I think
Illinois
it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, look,
Illinois
you and
doesn't
I,
help.
same camp. We are. The only value to a vice president is, does it bring you a constituency, aka, not also known as, an example being gravitas for George W. Bush.
Yep.
Or
that was Dick Cheney choosing himself.
Bill Clinton doubling down on the brand and also trying to shore up his lack of morality that people thought by bringing in Al Gore, who a lot of people don't remember was a very straight fella. And his wife, Tipper Gore, was the one pushing for there to be NC-17 categories and to have warning labels on record albums for the kids. Yep. So there was a lot of things going on. You pick a vice president to shore up a constituency, Trump with Pence, or to win that state, because the effect of a vice president goes about as far as the state that they're from. You'll get.
We just lost your camera.
Yeah, we lost you.
Go ahead. Try to stop me. Can you still hear me though?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Try to stop me.
All right, Doug, figure out your camera situation. Dan, what's your take on the VP situation?
Yeah, I can still talk.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute you too. I'm going to turn off your mic. Oh, I would love to see Gretchen Whitmer or Pete Buttigieg as VP. I know Pete doesn't bring a state. He lives in Michigan technically, but that doesn't do anything. But the way he can, hop on Fox News and sound like the only adult in the room and not speak down to people, I think goes a really long way. If you're trying to move any voters, out of the Trump camp, maybe they're, former Nikki Haley supporters, never Trumpers, and a guy like Pete can come on Fox News and talk really rationally and clearly about why these policies are actually better for America. I think that goes a really long way. Yeah. But I love Gretchen Whitmer as well.
Yeah. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, what constituency, what does J.D. Vance bring? There we go. There's Doug back. I'll tell you the constituency that JD Vance brings to Trump. It's not Ohio, because Ohio's not in play. Like, here's the constituency JD Vance brings. JD Vance brings young tech entrepreneurs, the tech billionaires. That's who JD Vance brings. The Peter Thiels, the Elon Musk. He appeals to those kinds of people, and the libertarian Silicon Valley folks, and
Silicon Club,
and who in the past have been more progressive, but there's been movement in that group. Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, all of those folks. JD Vance is very appealing to them, and that is why.
What made JD Vance appealing to them, other than he was in that field for a short bit?
Well, and it's a friendship with Peter Thiel, who basically funded his Senate campaign.
Yeah. It's the bro thing, and that he says all the horrible stuff. JD Vance says horrible things.
Yes, he does.
So when it's like that's the crowd, it's because he's like the trashy Twitter guy that just says horrible things. Yep. It's really quite something. Which is where Gretchen Whitmer. I mean, I think it's going to be Shapiro, and I think there are real limitations because this country is not clear on where it is on the Jewish community or where it is on 51% or 50.3% of the population, women. So that's also doubling down. So I think if Kamala Harris goes with Shapiro, she's doubling down on your non-Christian white thing. And if she goes with Gretchen Whitmer, I think she's doubling down on this idea that there's a sea change, and it's a feminine-led thing, and she doesn't need the help of a white guy, because everybody right now is saying the same thing. Well, she's gonna have a white guy. She's gonna have a guy to prop her up. She's gonna have a guy to get a guy, votes, all that stuff. I think she could throw a real knuckleball in here by picking Gretchen Whitmer, if Whitmer would do it. And Whitmer has said she's not going to, but Joe Biden yesterday said he is not dropping out. So, and
if it's not Whitmer, who
endorsed Donald Trump, and then on Thursday she did, or Wednesday.
Who is another woman it could be? It's not. It can't be Katie Porter because she lives in California.
She could move.
But yeah,
she's not running for Congress again. She could move back to Iowa, hometown, or Nebraska. Yes, no, it's not going to be Katie Porter. Look, I think the only Katie Hobbs is the other one, who's a governor of Arizona, first term governor. I think won, in a recent election. So, but I don't think Katie Hobbs is beloved broadly in Arizona that would give you Arizona. And again, I'm basing this on the vote common good and Axelrod view, which is nothing matters if you don't win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. If you win those three and you keep all the other, we got them in our column, including Nevada, you got it. And maybe that one district in Nebraska. So I think it's got to be Shapiro or Whitmer. If it's a play for the base, because I don't think it's Tony Evers in Wisconsin, a governor. Hey, here's the other thing when you think about it: the states that we think are most important: North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, maybe Nevada. I don't know who the governor of Nevada is. Probably ask. Hey Siri, who's the governor of Nevada?
Joe Lombardo is the governor of Nevada.
Hey Siri, is Joe Lombardo a Democrat? I don't even know who Joe Lombardo is.
The answer I found is Republican Party.
Yeah, okay. So not him, but all the other ones outside of Nevada. So Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, all have Democrat governors. Those are the swing states. These are states that statewide in recent elections have voted for Democrats. All the Democrats have to do is win the places where they're supposed to win. So you pick two women that feel competent and exciting, and you lock up Michigan, or you pick Shapiro and you lock up Pennsylvania. And man, the the political foot is across the line. And so I think it's Shapiro. I think ultimately that's going to be the pick. And I think people aren't going to care how long he's been governor. I don't think people even know stuff like that. I think people, I don't know. But do you think there would be any bounce back where people would be like, we don't want to lose our old boy, so we're not going to vote for him for vice president because we want to keep him as the governor? I think they love him so much they would let him go.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
if it's, I go back to my question. If it's a woman and not Gretchen Whitmer, who is it?
9:01 p.m.
Oh my goodness. Siri just told me the time again.
Siri's
I don't know what
chiming
is
in.
happening.
It's not Siri, I can tell you that.
Yeah, seriously. Is it Elizabeth Warren?
Be president or vice president.
Elizabeth Warren.
Interesting. It's
I
a
think there is
name I
no-
haven't thought about in a while.
Yeah, remember she was supposed to be president a while back. Professor President. I just don't think it. I think it only matters if the person gives them a state, and I can't think of a beloved politician in Wisconsin. I mean, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, who I think is up for her own like fight of her life to stay as the nominee. So I don't know. You know, when Al Gore, who was picked by Bill Clinton, then was vice president for 8 years, then lost his own home state as the presidential candidate. Things changed in Tennessee.
If he had won his home state, he would have been president.
That would have been that.
We never would have heard the phrase "hanging chads."
No. Or Clark. What was her name? Clark.
Wesley Clark.
No, the woman who ran the operation down there with the hanging.
Oh, what was her
name?
name?
Okay. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about in Broward County.
Yeah,
Hey,
she was like Plumber Joe. Like she burst onto the scene and then disappeared.
Or that person in Texas who did that, the state legislative woman. Well, look, I think this is great news.
O'Rourke?
I think no, she was blonde hair and she lost, but she did something really great, something heroic.
Oh yeah.
You know. Look, we've turned a page in this country. Joe Biden making a stunning decision to him because people hadn't told him that he had said, no, it's just an old person joke. I should stop with the old people jokes. He did a very brave thing to say, I will not seek, nor will I accept. He didn't say exactly that, so it's not quite as lyrical as when Lyndon Johnson said he wasn't going to run. But this is a big deal. And you can say he should have said it a year ago if you want to be like that, because I do. And
I do want to be like
this
that. Yeah, I'll say it all day.
Very much want to be like that. I'm going to continue to be like that for a very, very long time. And we should have had an entire process, but we don't. Instead, we're going to have a truncated process. But the person we're going to end up with is the current vice president of the United States. And she will be sworn in on the 21st of January, 2025, as the next president of the United States. If everyone gets out and does their part. And the person she's running against, say it very clearly, is Donald Trump, who lost the presidential race as the sitting president and then led an insurrection and since then has committed crimes that he's being charged with and has been convicted of crimes that he committed, including fraud.
Which some people see as a feature and not a flaw.
For sure. And if you can't beat that guy, then God save the queen, because we're in trouble. So yeah. I think Kamala Harris has got the wind at her back. I think she's going to raise a ton of money. I think people are going to be excited. I hope that she can roll out a introduction of herself in a way that people say, wow, this would be great. And if you just move the 30,000 people in each of those states who voted against Hillary Clinton, just 30,000 of them, because it was particular to Hillary Clinton. I know a lot of people who are like that. I don't know 30,000 people in Wisconsin, but I know a lot of people for whom it was just they couldn't do a Clinton or they couldn't do a Hillary Clinton again. It didn't feel right to them for all kinds of reasons. I don't think the Democratic Party is going to have this problem. I think they're going to come in hot and heavy for Kamala Harris, and I think she's gonna pull ahead by 3, 4, 5, 6 percentage points after the convention, and she's never going to look back if we all do our work. If we get sloppy and we get lazy, those of us who care about this, whatever your work is, we get lazy and sloppy and don't do our thing, Donald Trump is going to take over the presidency of the United States and use his power to inflict on the American people all the things he's promised. And it's terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, I also wondered, what do you guys think? I wondered if we talked about this a bit on the bus as we traveled. Are they going to go with Kamala or are they going to go with Harris? So in other words, is it going to be
yard
Biden?
signs and the T-shirts? Yeah.
All of it. Is it Kamala or is it Harris? What do you think?
I think it's Kamala because I think they are baiting Donald Trump to do the racist Kamala pronunciation of her name.
Say it again.
I think they want Donald Trump to do the racist Kamala pronunciation of her name. And for people who might not remember, people who might not remember, back in the 80s, there was a professional wrestler named Kamala the Ugandan Giant, who was a large black man, and it was a stereotypical racist depiction. And so they're like calling her Kamala is a racist reference to that. And I think they're just begging him for that.
A pretty niche racist reference, but yes.
That's a deep cut. That is a deep cut.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Professional wrestling probably know what he's doing.
Interjecting about professional wrestlers for a second, though, Rob,
he is a WWE Hall of Famer.
Okay, good for him. Rob, I was curious, and we were talking about this on the bus, how you felt about the RNC when Hulk Hogan came out. Did you watch this?
Feel about that?
And he rips off his shirt, revealing a Trump shirt underneath, and just did the whole bit.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan. There's a couple things with Hulk Hogan. One is he's a horrible human being.
Is he?
Oh yeah. On tape, saying the N-word multiple times, while having an affair with his best friend's wife. He is. He is
Donald likes him.
Oh yeah, totally. A known liar who has recently been doing the 700 Club tour and was recently baptized, and he's a baby Christian now. He's a horrible person, and
praise be.
Basically Hulk Hogan being there, to endorse and speak at the RNC. Two things. One is, we're one step closer to idiocracy, where the president of the United States is a professional wrestler. And two, it really made me miss Randy Macho Man Savage.
Yeah. Well, Kamala Harris is just going to fire up the people.
And I can't wait for the next debate. Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Trump is not going to do it. He's not going to want it to be.
He's going to be scared. Yeah.
I think he posted on Truth Social earlier that the agreement that he had with Biden was to do the debate on ABC, but now that Biden's out, the agreement is null and void, and he will only debate if it's on Fox News.
Part of the deal.
Well, Matthew Luby, thank you. Catherine Harris was the name that was rolling around in my head. And how would I have forgotten the Broward County person. And thanks to all of you. Carol, thanks for being in the chat. Alex, Peggy, Edward. Hey, Edward, we got to get this event scheduled, by the way. I'm going to be in touch with you this week. We got a little plan for getting ourselves down there. So we had to cancel our
Jim,
last event. We're going to an Christian training event with Edward.
Father Bruce.
Father Bruce.
Emily. Yeah.
Is there Father Bruce? Are you a priest? Catholic priest? hopefully.
And thanks, Candace. Him for the 81% is a song more people need to hear.
There.
Yeah, they do, Candace. Thank you. Post that on your socials where you have it. Dan wrote the song called "Him for the 81%." Dan, will you put that down in the description?
Maria,
will you put a link? Hey, we appreciate all of you being up with us late. It's in some places it's after 10 o'clock. Where Rob and I are, we're both in the Central Time Zone. It's 9. Some of you I know are living the high life out there in California, where it's 7. Probably some mountaineers at 8. Probably some people in Arizona. You're not sure what time you're in, what time it is. I think people in Arizona just don't know. They don't care. Just wait to look at the phone.
I think they might know. But.
Big plans for evening. I'm gonna head downstairs and watch the second episode of the 3rd season of The Bear.
Oh yeah, second episode's a good one.
Of the 3rd season already.
Yeah, just 3rd season just came out.
Vanessa and I like The Bear so much that we do not binge it. We watch it weekly, like old school.
That's cute.
Yeah. So it's our Sunday night show.
After the first episode, didn't really connect with it. Should we keep going? That sounds like we shouldn't let our impulse to quit.
The first episode, or the first episode of the 3rd season.
No, the first episode of the 1st season.
Oh,
101.
Keep going,
dude. The Bear is great.
If I didn't like the first episode, am I going to like it? Or was it like, if you didn't like the first one, that's what it is?
I don't remember specifically.
I'll just judge you a bit for not liking it.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it like Trump took. Did you hear Trump say he took a bullet for democracy? Technically, you didn't. You glanced the bullet like you glanced by democracy. So I'll take that comment of yours.
It's a piece of glass.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Maybe Tuesday, the official politics podcast.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe we'll have Kamala Harris on. I'll reach out, see if we can get her on.
Yeah, reach out to her.
I think every podcast we should start with, hey, we sent the link. She might pop in. Honestly, I think that should become a running bit. What's it going to take to get her on here and just do a thing?
Be amazing.
That would be fun. Yep.
All right.
You can make a graphic and she's in it. And it's just like a picture.
Just waiting for her to log in.
If you need the link, we'll send it again.
Phone lines are open.
Phone lines are open.
Hey, Kamala, if you're watching, use the Chrome browser if you feel like you're not able to get it. All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.